The summer sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow on the weathered farmhouse that had seen both joy and sorrow over the years. Its light gray wooden planks whispered stories of family gatherings, childhood laughter, and hard work. But today, amidst the sweet scent of wildflowers blooming in the fields, a storm brewed in the air, marked by tension. Mark, a middle-aged man with deep-set lines on his face, stood with his arms crossed. He wore a plaid shirt and faded jeans, the fabric worn like his resolve. Across from him, his daughter, Emily, shifted her weight from foot to foot, the gray business suit she wore looking incongruously formal against the rustic backdrop of their family estate. "You don't understand," Emily snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the thick summer air. She raised an arm, pointing toward the horizon as if trying to summon the very countryside to her aid. "This land is worth more than just memories, Dad. It's time we let go, time to embrace the future." Mark's gaze was steady, but he felt the pain of betrayal prickling at his heart. "And what future does that hold, Em? Selling to some developer for a few coins? Turning our home into sleek apartments? You think I'll let them pave over our childhood?" Each word felt heavy, laden with the weight of nostalgia and sorrow. Unbeknownst to both of them, under the rusty red tractor parked in the foreground, amid the tall grass, a small, battered journal lay hidden. It was old, worn, and had somehow survived weathering years of neglect. Unbeknownst to her, Emily's argument about the value of their land was intertwined with secrets that could tear their family apart or bind them closer together. "I wish you'd stop hiding behind your nostalgia," Emily responded, her voice shaking with frustration. "You can cling to the past all you want, but it won't pay the bills. This place isn't the sanctuary you think it is. It's just a money pit." Her voice lingered in the air, a challenge thrown down like a gauntlet. Mark's throat tightened. His thoughts faltered as he grappled with the battle taking place between love and duty, between what the heart cherished and what the reality demanded. He wanted to tell her about the past, the threats, but his tongue felt heavy. "The moment you let this place go, you'll forget it." "I can't just let it." Mark paused, clenching his fists at his sides. "Let it dissolve into memories." Emily stepped closer, the space between them sizzling with emotion. "I planned on making this place a community space, a place for people to gather, a chance to give it new life. But you're so stuck in your ways, you can't even see the opportunity." Mark felt the world tilt beneath him. The possibility hung tantalizingly close, but with it came a suffocating fear of change. The farmhouse stood witness to generations of struggle and triumph. What would it mean if he lost it to a vision that wasn't his? And just then, a sudden rustle caught their attention. Both their heads snapped toward the farmhouse. The weather vane atop the house creaked in the wind, pointing ominously toward the east. "Oh, not now," Mark muttered, the unease in his gut growing. He felt a chill, as if an unseen presence had wafted through the air. "What?" Emily questioned, following his gaze. Before he could respond, the old wooden door of the farmhouse creaked open on its hinges, revealing an approaching figure from inside. A stranger, clad in weather-beaten clothes and a wide-brimmed hat, emerged like a specter from the past, eyes scanning the land with an unsettling familiarity. Mark's breath caught in his throat. The land held past secrets. He had hidden too much, and yet, now, with Emily igniting old tensions, could this stranger reveal more than he bargained for? As the man moved closer, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Emily raised an eyebrow, curious and defiant. Mark's heart raced, his mind frantically connecting all the threads he had worked so hard to keep hidden. "Who are you?" Mark called, his voice steady, but inside his heart raced. Emily peered past him, her anger momentarily forgotten as curiosity washed over her. "What do you want?" she asked the figure stepping into the light. The stranger tilted his head, a cryptic smile flickering across his face. "You've both been looking for answers, haven't you? Well, I've come to provide information." A whirlwind of emotions surged as Mark's worst fears began to take shape. The confrontation wasn't just about land. It was about uncovering truths buried deep within their family, threatening to erupt at the most inconvenient moment. And as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the field, the stage was set for revelations that neither Mark nor Emily had prepared for, an unearthing of deep, unresolved fragments of their shared history that could tear them apart or bind them together forever. The stranger tilted his head, a cryptic smile flickering across his face. "You've both been looking for answers, haven't you? Well, I've come to provide information." Mark felt the ground beneath him shift as his heart raced. Dread pooled in the pit of his stomach. Emily, sensing the charged atmosphere but blissfully unaware of the dangerous truths, stepped forward, curiosity etched across her features, energy crackling around her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice steady yet tinged with a hint of impatience. The drama of their argument faded momentarily in the presence of this enigmatic man. The stranger surveyed the two of them, as if weighing the impact of the words he was about to unveil. "This land," he started slowly, choosing his words with care, "holds secrets many have died to protect. Your family, Mark, has been at the center of it for generations." Mark's brow furrowed as he glanced at Emily. She seemed intrigued, her frustration momentarily forgotten, but for Mark, the familiar knot of fear tightened. His father's warnings echoed in his mind. "Never speak of the past, Mark. It'll only bring you trouble." "Who are you? What do you know?" Mark demanded, a tremor of authority lacing his voice, but it felt small against the weight of the moment. The stranger's eyes twinkled with an intensity that sent a shiver down Mark's spine. "I'm just a messenger. I'm here because you have a choice to make about this land. It is more than just dirt and wood. It's magic, entangled with your lineage." Emily furrowed her brow, caught between skepticism and intrigue. "Magic? What are you talking about?" "Far more than you realize, young lady," he said, his attention shifting toward her. "Your family's past is tied to this soil in ways you couldn't possibly understand. There are forces at play that could change everything, including your desire to sell." "What is that supposed to mean?" Mark interjected, tension weaving into his tone. The ground felt unstable beneath him, as if dark memories were clawing from the shadows, pressing against his defenses. "There's an old conflict on this land," the stranger continued, his voice lowering as if he were sharing a forbidden secret. "It dates back centuries, a battle between those who wish to protect the heritage and those who seek to exploit it. Your father, your grandfather, they fought to keep the peace. And you, Mark," he paused, cutting through the air like a knife, "you've inherited more than just a plot of land. You have a legacy." Mark's breathing quickened, and his mind raced. His father had always been tight-lipped about their family's history, burying it under layers of hard work and sweat. But this was something that could change everything. "What legacy?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady as he felt Emily's eyes flicking between him and the stranger. "The legacy to protect this land," the stranger replied, his tone grave. "And it extends to your daughter, Emily. To truly choose the right path, you'll need to confront what's been hidden from you." "What do you know about me?" Emily asked, eyes blazing. "Who are you really?" Mark's heart raced. This stranger was appending everything, the very foundation of their conflict now twisting on its axis. He had thought he was defending their home, but maybe there was more than he had known. "Let's just say," the stranger began, a half-smile returning as if he was relishing the tension, "I have connections with those who hold the past dear. I know of the pact, an ancient agreement your family made to ensure the land's protection. But the time has come to make a choice." "What kind of choice?" Emily demanded, her voice firm with an urgency that surprised both men. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying a hint of the impending storm as the stranger leaned closer. "To sell means to sever ties with this land, to bring an end to the legacy. But to fight could mean harnessing the power of what has been bestowed upon you, to protect it, to nurture it." Mark's stomach knotted at the thought. "What do you mean by power?" At that, the stranger's expression darkened. "There are forces lurking in the shadows, waiting for the moment your family's grip loosens. An ancient evil that wishes to reclaim this land for its own sinister purposes. The longer you ignore it, the closer they come. A chill grazed Mark's skin as the significance of those words sank in, the weight of generations settling squarely on his shoulders. He glanced at Emily, who looked equal parts horrified and defiant. They were standing at a precipice, eyes fixed on the unknown, and the choice they were about to make would echo far beyond their personal desires. "What's your choice?" the stranger asked, the sun casting long, foreboding shadows across the grassy field. Mark's heart raced as possibilities swirled around him like a maelstrom. Would they protect the land and confront whatever lurked in the dark, or walk away, leaving a legacy behind? As Emily looked at him, determination sparked in her eyes, and for the first time, they both felt the pull of the past, urging them to fight for what truly mattered. The tension crackled in the air, and one thing became painfully clear: they could no longer run from their family's legacy. Mark's heart raced as possibilities swirled around him like a maelstrom. Would they protect the land and confront whatever lurked in the dark, or walk away, leaving a legacy behind? As Emily looked at him, determination sparked in her eyes, and for the first time, they both felt the pull of the past, urging them to fight for what truly mattered. The tension crackled in the air, and one thing became painfully clear: they could no longer run from their family's legacy. "What do we need to do?" Emily asked, her voice firm, cutting through the tension like a blade. The stranger's eyes gleamed with satisfaction, as if he had anticipated her question. "First, you must both understand the history," he replied, gesturing to the worn farmhouse behind them. "There are hidden places on this land, places where the pact was sealed, and where the power lies. You will need to uncover those seals and decide if you have the strength to face the forces that threaten you." "What forces?" Mark asked, skepticism weaving into his tone. For years, he had dismissed whispers about the land. Paranormal tales spun by neighbors who had long since left, tales of hauntings and bad omens. But now, something deep inside him stirred, a sense of urgency that couldn't be ignored. The stranger hesitated, weighing his words. "There is a darkness here, a force that sees this place as a target. For generations, it has tried to break the pact your ancestors made. Selling could draw it closer. Trust me, the stories you've dismissed as mere folklore have truth in them." Emily crossed her arms, her resolve unwavering even as doubt flickered in Mark's eyes. "Then what do we do? We fight for it, right? But how?" The stranger smiled. This was the spark he'd been waiting for. "You must find the symbols. The 3 seals that hold the magic of this land are hidden in the 3 places that are essential to your family's history." Mark narrowed his eyes. "And where exactly are these hidden seals?" "The very heart of the land," the stranger replied. "Look for the old oak tree by the North Lake, visit the stone bridge at the edge of the eastern meadow, and seek the barn where you spent your childhood. Each location will reveal truths, but they will also test you. You must confront your own fears and unveil the shadows that have lain dormant in your family for too long." Mark and Emily exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. The doubts simmering in Mark's gut coiled tight, but so did a flicker of determination. He had spent too long avoiding their family's history, and now fate had forced him to confront it. "How do we protect ourselves?" Mark finally asked. "I can guide you," the stranger assured them, "but ultimately, it's your strength and bond as a family that will protect this land. You must work together, trust one another," and he hesitated, his eyes darkening. "You'll have to confront the fearsome spirit that has been watching over you, waiting for the moment to claim its legacy." "Fearsome spirit?" Emily whispered, her lips barely moving as she processed the weight of his words. "A protector turned rogue," the stranger explained. "Bound to the land, it could either aid you or destroy you. It will know your deepest insecurities, your past mistakes, and it will use them against you." As Mark listened, dread washed over him. He recalled moments of his past, the choices he made, the times he felt he had failed, the burden of his father's expectations. The thought of facing something that knew his flaws scared him more than he could admit. But there was something else igniting within him, a sense of responsibility for Emily, for the land that had sheltered their ancestors. They may be on the brink of an uncharted path, but he couldn't afford to back down now. "Let's do it," Emily declared, her voice cutting through his swirling thoughts. "If it means protecting our home and uncovering the truth, then we'll face whatever we have to. Together." Mark felt the warmth of her words wrap around him like a cloak, igniting a fire within that he hadn't felt in ages. He nodded. "Together," he echoed, his voice steadier now. "Good," the stranger said, relief washing over his features. "But remember, the journey won't just test you against what lurks in the shadows. It will test the bond you share." "Lead the way," Emily urged, her eyes shining with determination. With a nod, the stranger turned and started walking toward the farmhouse, beckoning them to follow. Mark and Emily exchanged one last glance filled with an unspoken promise, a pact to stand united against whatever lay ahead. As they approached the old wooden structure, the sun began to set behind them, casting elongated shadows that danced eerily across the grass. The air crackled with anticipation, each step echoing like the beats of their hearts. They were about to delve into the depths of their family legacy, a journey fraught with danger, secrets, and, perhaps, enlightenment. Together, they stepped onto the porch of the farmhouse, ready to unearth the first seal of their destiny. The world around them seemed to hold its breath, waiting to reveal both the glorious and the terrifying echoes of the past. As the door creaked open, a wave of cool air brushed against them, whispering promises and warnings, inviting them in. The path to revelations lay before them, dark and winding, but filled with the flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could reclaim their legacy together. As the door creaked open, the cool air wrapped around Mark and Emily, thick with the scent of aged wood and buried memories. They stepped into the dim interior of the farmhouse, where a flickering light from the old lantern gave life to the shadows that danced against the walls. Dust motes floated in the air like tiny specters, remnants of the life that once thrived within these walls. "Where do we start?" Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as the weight of ancestral history pressed down upon him. The stranger lingered just behind them, a silent guardian watching over their resolve. "Your family's history is etched in every corner of this place," the stranger instructed, casting a knowing glance at the faded family portraits lining the walls. Each figure seemed to gaze down at them, as if weighing their worthiness to uncover the secrets entwined with their lineage. "Begin with the study. Your grandfather used to keep records, hidden journals, keys to understanding the seals." Mark nodded, the determination swelling in his chest. With Emily stepping confidently beside him, he led the way down a narrow hallway adorned with weathered photographs, vibrant scenes capturing moments lost to time. Memories of laughter drifted through, evoking bittersweet nostalgia and profound urgency. As they approached the study, Mark hesitated, recalling stories of his grandfather's wisdom, his laughter that could fill the room, and the fierce love he had for the land. What if the journals contain more than just history, he mused aloud. What if they reveal deeper truths about the pact? "Then we will face them," Emily said, her conviction unwavering. She reached for the doorknob, turning it slowly before stepping inside. The room was suffused with the faint scent of aged paper and ink, a time capsule that had waited long for their return. Mark's pulse quickened as he scanned the room, the walls lined with bookshelves filled to the brim. His eyes landed on the old mahogany desk, its surface laden with dust, hiding its treasures beneath a veil of neglect. He could feel the weight of expectation hanging in the air, an unspoken challenge to seek the truth and embrace their destiny. "Over there," Emily exclaimed, pointing to a leather-bound journal peeking out from beneath a mound of letters. She rushed over, her fingers trembling as she lifted it carefully, brushing off centuries of dust. As she opened the journal, the faded handwriting sprang to life, each word a breath of the past. "May 15th, 1942, she read aloud, her voice echoing softly in the stillness. "The pact was sealed on this land, a promise made to protect the magic that courses through it. We are bound to the spirits of our ancestors, guardians of the very soul of this place." Mark leaned closer, intrigued but apprehensive. "What else does it say?" Emily continued reading, her voice rising and falling like the breath of the house itself. "But darkness stirs, seeking a way to reclaim what was once lost. We must prepare the descendants for the trials ahead, for the time will come when they shall choose between legacy and greed." The words sent a shiver down Mark's spine. The weight of his family's legacy suddenly felt even heavier. "So it's true," he murmured, sensing the echoes of their struggles wrapping around him. "Our past battles weren't in vain. They set the stage for us." "Keep going," Emily urged, her eyes bright with determination. "There must be a clue about the seals." As she turned the page, Mark felt his heart race. They were standing on the threshold of understanding, a place where fear met resilience. Yet, a warning loomed in the back of his mind. Uncovering the truth would demand much from them. Here. Emily interrupted his thoughts, her finger landing on a series of drawings. Intricate symbols, resembling the ones described by the stranger, adorned the margins of the journal. "These are the seals. Each has its own purpose and its own challenge." Mark leaned in closer, tracing the outlines with his fingers. These symbols resonated with the very essence of their land, each promising power and danger, knowledge that would demand courage. "We have to visit each location, don't we?" "It's the only way," she confirmed, her expression earnest. "We will gather our strength. This is bigger than just us. It's about safeguarding our home." Just as her words took flight in the air, the room grew colder, the lantern dimming as a gust of wind rattled the windows. They turned simultaneously, uncertainty creeping in. Something unseen stirred, that foreboding essence of which the stranger had spoken, a palpable reminder that they were being observed. "Let's not linger," Mark urged, resolute. "We need to prepare. If there's truly a spirit watching over us, we have to face it." With the journal clutched tightly in Emily's hands, they exited the study, a newfound sense of purpose guiding them. They would fight for their home, unearthing the past that had shaped their family and confronting the darkness that lay ahead. As they stepped back out into the cool evening air, they saw the sun dipping below the horizon, the sky ablaze with vibrant hues, briefly distracting and breathtaking. For a moment, the weight of their fears seemed to dissipate against the backdrop of nature's beauty, a glimpse of hope amid impending challenges. "This is just the beginning," Mark said, glancing at the farmhouse behind them, a bastion of their family's strength, filled with shadows of the past and whispers of the future. Together, they would embrace the legacy, reclaiming the magic intertwined with their bloodlines. With everything ahead of them still unknown, Mark and Emily set forth, hands clasped, hearts aligned, ready to rewrite their family's story and protect what had been entrusted to them. They moved with purpose into the encroaching twilight, prepared to confront the spirit, the seals, and whatever darkness awaited just beyond the edge of the familiar. Together, they were no longer just descendants of their ancestors. They were now the guardians of their legacy and the future of the land they loved. And in that moment, amidst whispers of the ancient past and the promise of what lay ahead, the journey truly began.